Hello friends, I'm glad to see you in the online course Dentist's Blog. On this occasion, as you can see, I even put on this special festive t-shirt that says Dentist from the Blog. Because right now we live in a time when a blog is truly a powerful tool that can have a huge impact on your dental career. I will try to share with you the main tools that will help you develop your blog, and also, more importantly, you need to understand that these tools change. In other words, what works today might not work a year or two from now, and even less so after that, right? So what was working well last year is already working a bit less effectively today. In other words, the tools are changing. It's important for me to convey to you the core philosophy and concept of blogging, especially if you are a dental professional. I will provide you with advanced artificial intelligence tools that you can effectively delegate your various blogging tasks to, so that the process of maintaining your blog becomes as incredibly easy, remarkably comfortable, and truly effortless as humanly possible for you to manage. My goal is not to overwhelm you with a huge amount of information or to give you even more work. I understand, I am a dentist myself, and I know that time is the main scarcity for dental professionals, because the way our work is structured, we essentially trade our life's time for money. And accordingly, we can't, say, see 10 patients per hour, right? In other words, our time per patient is limited. So we have to invest our time in providing medical care. Accordingly, the profession is not scalable, which is why the value of time for a dentist can hardly be overstated. Yes, this is the ceiling that every doctor hits, that we can't see all the patients we might want to. So my goal with this training is to show you how to run a blog easily, effortlessly, and at your own comfortable pace, so that it doesn't become yet another source of stress. Because again, being a dentist is already a pretty stressful job as it is. The idea is for it to be, as they say, light and easy, right? But you do need to understand that you will still have to do something. That's it. But I promise you it will be interesting, because it will really add some vibrancy to your career as a doctor, and it will get you out of a certain dental routine when it's just work, home, patients. It will bring more color into your life. In other words, your life will definitely become more interesting if you can adapt blogging to your reality, to your life, and by using the tools I'll be talking about in this course, you'll also get a great effect and a great result. For truly effective work in this course, the first assignment I'd like to give you is to define the goals and objectives of your blog. That is, why are you running it? Because everyone can have their own objectives. For example, maybe you want to increase the number of your patients, right? I think that's the most common question people have when they come to this course. In that case, you need to create one type of content. If you want to build authority and reputation within the dental community, among professionals, and perhaps position yourself as a speaker, travel to different cities and give talks, that's a slightly different type of content aimed at a different target audience. Maybe you'd like to launch a brand of toothbrushes, toothpastes, and so on, based on the fact that you're a dentist. In this case, the blog concept will be a bit different. Maybe everything in your life is going great. You have a strong financial foundation. You have patience, everything seems to be going well in your life, but it feels a bit boring. You want a bit more excitement. That's it. You can also achieve this with a blog. Or for example, maybe you're a successful dentist and you're looking for a life partner. And I know that many dentists prefer to connect with other dentists, right? To build these family businesses, family dynasties. And I'm sure that, first of all, you can find interesting candidates for this role right in the chat. And secondly, when you start a blog, more people and colleagues see you, and maybe someone will improve their personal life thanks to this blog. So, in general, everyone has different goals and objectives. That's why it's important to understand from the very beginning why you're running your blog. Because until you have a clear goal, until you have answered the question of why you need a blog, you'll often end up quitting halfway. I think each of you has tried something when it comes to blogging. Maybe you started filming stories or thought, that's it, I'm going to do all of this, I'll film everything, I'll get patients. But then something doesn't work out, there's no consistency, and as a result, there's no effect or outcome. We all think that as soon as we go live in stories, we'll have a full schedule booked months in advance, right? Let me also address another objection for those doctors who say, I'm already doing great with patients, my schedule is full, I don't need any more patients. Trust me, you do. There is always room to grow in our profession. That's what's so wonderful about it. You can develop your skills in any direction you choose. In other words, there are no limits in dentistry. When you become an outstanding doctor, you can build your own dental clinic, enter the dental business, and then you'll need to bring in patients not just for yourself, but for your whole team as well. Also, for example, if you are not interested in opening a clinic running a business and so on, and you want to develop solely as a clinical specialist, meaning your tool for increasing your income is raising your prices, then the patients who came to you when you were just starting your career, and now that you've become so skilled, well-known, with a strong personal brand and an outstanding professional reputation, as your rates go up, those patients will gradually adjust to your new pricing. And accordingly, you can't just abandon them either, so you end up slowing each other down. So even if you have a huge list of patients, that's a sign that it's time for you to raise your prices. Some patients will drop off, but that's exactly the point. You raise your prices so that some patients, well, stop coming to you. That's actually the whole point, to free up more of your time so you can see other people. And again, with the help of your blog, you can influence your audience and the quality of patients who come to you. What's the beauty of all this, of being online, of the internet, of social media? It's that you get to create demand for exactly what you need. For example, let's say you're a dentist specializing, I don't know, in prosthetic dentistry, but prosthetic dentistry is a huge field. It could involve removable dentures, fixed restorations, aesthetic veneers, and so on. And for all three of these distinct prosthetic directions, there are various different categories of patients, primarily because the associated pricing structures are completely different and individual people inherently have diverse and varying needs and requirements. Accordingly, with the help of a blog, you can generate appointments for the specific procedure you want to focus on. For example, you analyze your target audience and realize that you need more patients interested in aesthetics, such as veneers. So accordingly, you build your blog's concept with a focus on promoting veneer services. In other words, a blog is always about introducing yourself. It's like your digital business card, where a patient can see you and decide whether to book an appointment with you. And also through your blog, you can promote the specific service you need. Again, content for an audience interested in removable dentures, all-on-4, or aesthetic veneers targets completely different people. So that is, they have different behaviors and mindsets on social media. This is a very interesting topic. We will discuss all of this together in the course. I would appreciate your feedback and questions. Under each lesson, you will always find a field where you can write your comments. Let me know whether you liked the lesson or not and what changes you would like to see in the course. I read all of this and I'm always in touch. Plus, I'll also be in touch with you in the chat called Dentist's Blog. There, where all the students are gathered, you will find like-minded people who are also developing their blogs. They are all at different stages, yes. Some are just starting out, some already have experience running a blog, and some already have a large number of patients. So I think you'll find it interesting to communicate with your colleagues. Also, ask where everyone is from, what countries and cities. I think you'll find colleagues who are in your city and always try to meet up with them. You can be a great help to each other in running your blogs. The philosophy is to move forward together, because doing it alone is quite difficult. I think many of you started blogging, and then some negative comment, or more often, people write to me saying, we're afraid of hate. But no one has ever actually written you hate online in real life. You just made it up yourself, imagined that people would hate on you, that you'd be received the wrong way, and so on. Probably the biggest piece of advice I'd like to give you is that you need to calm down. Just stop treating your blog like it's some kind of stage performance. You don't need to think that as soon as you appear in stories, everyone will be judging you. You shouldn't focus your attention on that at all. Your blog is your mirror. People who relate to what you say will be the ones who follow you. So you don't have to try to please everyone. That's impossible anyway. And considering that you are established experts, you are dentists, the main focus of your blog should be precisely on the fact that you are a dentist, so that people will eventually come to you for appointments, not just to give you likes.